But first, a message from our sponsor.
Oh hey, don't mind me. I'm looking up my great ancestor, Amerigo Paramitano Peluso. He was a famous navigator who sailed the high seas, but his journey was cut short by the dreaded pirate Captain Keirbeard. I long to be like him, but alas I am stuck in this VHS store. Oh wait! I could play Uncharted Ocean instead. It's an historical sailing RPG in a world of open ocean available on the PC. You can pick from 8 nationalities, each with unique skills, allies, and enemies. You can build your own ship, trade at real historic locations, and explore the ocean for treasure. But beware, you'll have to survive naval battles, brave mighty storms, and engage in epic duels to decide the fate of you and your crew.
A duel, you say? Like the one I'm about to challenge you to right now?
Kieran, you're the descendant of the pirate who killed my ancestor and also one of the hundreds of thousands of people playing this game?
Yes, and I'm about to finish what he started years ago.
Then have at thee! Check out Uncharted Oceans today.
It's been 30 years since National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation came out, and I want to talk about what this movie meant to us as a kid, but even more what it means as an adult and why I think this movie has grown with time. It's improved. It centers around Clark Griswold, played by comedy legend Chevy Chase, who just wants to have the relatives over for an old-fashioned family Christmas. But he gets more guests over than he bargained for, mainly his wife's cousin's husband Eddie, played by Randy Quaid, who he can't stand. Family bickering paves way to full-on disaster, including fire, electrocution, chainsaws, explosive sewage dumping, and a vicious squirrel.
My parents would put this on every year. I think maybe from a young age, probably too young with all the profanity and everything like that. And it was like probably our main holiday tradition. Some families had like the Rankin and Bass stuff. Yeah. My family had this.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Well, this was like the adults comedy.
Yeah, it's not, the movie is not for kids, and I imagine we'll talk about a little bit of that later, like all the parts in the movie, because like it's very uncomfortable to watch as a kid, especially with not really the cursing, but like, you know, like kind of the sexy kind of stuff. It's a little weird.
So I was like 9.
I was definitely forced to watch this as a kid. I do not like this film too much. I prefer Vegas Vacation as my vacation film of choice.
Yeah, well, at the time when this came out, just to give context, is that this was the raunchiest, dirtiest Christmas comedy there was. I mean, I can't think of anything before it. Now you have Bad Santa and all kinds of stuff like that, so it's not as shocking. But back then, this was outrageous.
I might be looking at it through rose-colored glasses, but I really don't think it's that bad. It doesn't really have... It's not like it has nudity
as in,
or...
like the raunchiness.
By modern standards.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, a lot of people might look back at it now and be like, well, that doesn't, that's not that shocking.
Yeah, but
when this came out, it was a big deal.
People watch this every year like they do Home Alone and Christmas Story, and it's definitely not a full I mean, people say like, you know, well, back in the day, kids would watch more adult stuff and all that kind of stuff, which I get. Like, I watched this as a kid and it was no problem, but I can see it being a little weird nowadays.
Well, Bad Santa is far dirtier.
I fucking love Bad Santa. Yeah, but I wouldn't show that to a 5-year-old and my grandmother.
Exactly. Well, I don't remember. I don't know what kind of childhoods you guys had, but no, my dad would watch it with me, but then parts would come up, like where the cursing, he was kind of like, okay, you know, don't repeat that.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah.
But whenever like the sexual parts came or whatever, then he would like cover my eyes or like get him, you know, awkward, embarrassed or whatever.
Have you ever noticed the poster in the kids' bedroom?
Yeah.
Not the one above the bed. The one behind him. It's 2 turtles having sex.
No,
really? People forget about that.
I forgot about that one.
That's weird.
At first I thought you meant the one on the ceiling, but
Russ is a pervert. Man.
The part that really sticks out to me, that always has, is that epic rant towards the end, and that is sort of like the type of rapid fire obscenities that I adopted for AVGN.
Sure.
Like that's part of the roots of that. I think is like nobody heard anybody just throw out insults like that fast, and like, you know, Chevy Chase, you know, he was the one.
And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit he is!
So this movie got ruined on TV. And I
I
always
never watched that.
Yeah,
the version.
because obviously they have to censor it for TV. But I always find myself tricked into watching it because they play it on TV every year.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
So I'll always start it and I'll have it on in the background or whatever, and then I make it as far as that epic rant. And as soon as he gets to that, and they're just like dropping the sound out constantly, which I hate. I mean, just use a beep. Because when you drop the sound, I just feel like my ears are going bad or something's wrong. It's like very disorienting. But as soon as I get to that part, I'm like, oh, of course, it's TV. Fuck.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that over the years, when I watched this movie originally, I really identified with Russ because I would watch this movie and then my parents would be like, it's time to go out in the cold and put up those Christmas lights.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 It's also weird seeing him on like Big Bang Theory nowadays and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like the kid or the guy or whatever. But
Yeah, the girl getting naked by the pool. Seeing that as a kid, obviously,
it
was
just
one
felt
of those,
like a ripoff of Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Phoebe Cates.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of raunch did happen before, but never in like a Christmas movie
It was
that's
weird,
about
yeah.
like a family. Like I think that's what.
Well, that's what I'm
was
saying.
different.
This isn't a family movie. It's a movie for adults who get frustrated at Christmas and like teens and stuff. But it's always pictured as like the movie to watch every year on the Hallmark Channel or whatever. But it really isn't.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
the epic sledding scene. I mean, that's every kid's dream.
Yeah.
Like when he gets on that sled and he just like it just launches him and there's sparks and then
It's funny because it just goes from nothing to.
yeah. And then there's like a stunt guy, and then it cuts to like the chroma key part,
Yeah.
and then like whether it was blue screen or green, I don't know. What
It was pretty bad, but
Yeah, but it was funny.
I like how he lands at the Walmart, which is the first time I ever saw the Walmart.
Me
by the
too,
way.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Not to bring up Walmart. And then I like how later when he's doing like the shitter is full scene that everyone knows about, he picks up the sled and he sees right through it.
Whole back
Ed.
is, it's just gone.
It must have ruined Chevy Chase's ass. Like, I don't know. I will say, seeing this as a kid, not knowing what Christmas Vacation was, because I didn't see it in theaters or anything. I didn't watch the first Vacation movie or European Vacation or whatever.
Yeah.
When it starts, it has the cartoon, which I don't think the other Vacation movies have, right?
They don't.
It's kind of like when you watch Grease, and Grease has a cartoon opening, but for no reason.
I guess it's worth mentioning that this is the third in the Vacation movies. There was Vacation and then European Vacation. I think they're all worth watching, but none of them made the impact that the Christmas one did.
Yeah, and the first one's good. Vegas is still my favorite. I think it's the most refined, but yeah.
Really? I'll have to check it out again.
I think it's interesting they keep changing like the kids, like the supporting cast around Chevy Chase is always changing between all the Vacation movies, but I keep going back to Christmas Vacation as like the definitive National Lampoon's Vacation cast.
Yeah.
Then there's Christmas Vacation 2.
On the island.
So you should make an infographic of like the timeline of the Vacation and National Lampoon.
They also did a Hotel Hell Vacation, which was in like 2010, I think, and it's with Chevy Chase and what's her name? Beverly. What's her name in the movie? What's the actress name? But anyway, it has Chevy Chase and her, and they're at like a hotel. It's like a 14-minute short. It's weird. I don't know.
Like, it's worth mentioning that it's a National Lampoon movie, and we're just talking about it before the cameras rolled, is what does that mean? And basically, National Lampoon was a magazine. It was kind of like a spoof magazine, like Mad or something like that.
Yeah,
and
I never
it was,
knew what National Lampoon was.
Yeah, it ran from the 70s through the 90s. So then they started making movies using some of the staff that worked on the magazine. So that was the creative team. It started with Animal House, so that was the first one.
Okay.
Good
I always
start.
forget- yeah, exactly. But as time went on, the National Lampoon name just became a name more than anything because none of the same creative team worked on them. And now there's like 100 of them that are, it's just, the name is licensed, but it really doesn't mean anything.
I think the last movie that I went to see thinking National Lampoons may tie back to this era or anything was Van Wilder. And I'm like, this is like a teen movie. Like, what does this have to do with this?
That was like in the American Pie 3 era of films.
Right.
And there's so many of them too.
My favorite National Lampoon movie is definitely Loaded Weapon 1, which makes fun of Lethal Weapon. It's definitely the best.
That one at least was earlier on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that might have had some of the same
Yeah, it's
crossover.
got like
I don't
Emilio
know.
Estevez and Charlie Sheen's in it for a little bit and stuff like that, but you know.
So I definitely want to talk about seeing this movie as an adult. We already talked about what it was like as a kid, but now as an adult, I think it's better. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Even though I like picked it apart and shat on it last night when I watched it, it was definitely better watching now than as a kid. And watching it for the sake of watching it rather than being like, oh, it's Christmas and I'm at a family, like an in-laws house or whatever, and it's on TV. I don't know.
There's a big difference between participating in a Christmas that your family's putting on and being the person putting on Christmas. Now that, I have kids, I have a family, all of that, like, I'm getting the tree, I'm getting the food. I run it at my house, and it's stressful having people over. It's stressful buying gifts.
And you make the big turkey and all the
you
ever
you've
had
had a
like
turkey over my
the arguments over like who's getting the kids what gifts and all that?
Yeah, all that stuff.
And because that's why this movie is so funny now, especially like not just being older, but also having a family. It just makes it more relatable. Like having survived through enough Christmases, there's a good chance, you've witnessed, like anyone out there has witnessed like some kind of family drama, things that happen when families make plans together and plans don't go as planned.
Yeah, because me, when I was growing up, I had Christmas and Hanukkah, because I'm like half Jewish or whatever, so it was always weird going from one to the other. I still got my blue hat, though.
Like double the celebration.
Kinda, yeah.
It's a movie about dealing with the stress of the holidays, and you see how the mother deals with the stress. You see how Chevy Chase deals with the stress. You see all of the things.
The 80s and 90s were really the renaissance of the Christmas movie, because it went more from Miracle on 34th Street and Rankin and Bass stuff to Christmas sucks and here's how we deal with it.
Right.
Like Christmas Story is reflecting on it. Home Alone's like, I hate my family and I hate Christmas. Fuck you.
But then he realizes he really loves his family.
They all turn into that.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Because the funniest parts in this movie, I mean, there's so many funny parts, but what the dynamic is the subtle tension between Clark and Eddie, where like Eddie just has a heart of gold. I mean, a heart of gold, but his character is like meant to be like a bumbling idiot.
Heart of gold and a head of plastic.
Yeah, literally.
Clark just can't stand him, and Eddie comes over unexpectedly, and he asks Clark are you surprised? And he's like,
If I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
A lot of people who love Christmas Vacation have never watched another vacation movie, so they don't remember the family meeting Eddie and his family in the desert and stuff, but they do a really good job being like, oh, the older kids are in here and stuff, which then they come back in Vegas Vacation, so like, you can watch it at a place. Like the vacation cinematic universe, you can still watch each movie individually.
I love that more work went into the continuity of that movie than some like sci-fi epics coming out today.
It's better than the Alien franchise.
The Vacation 3 movie was better than Alien 3, I guess. I mean, it's unusual when the third movie is the one that you remember the most. It's just like, I mean, the movie's full of all those like those quips you're saying, those remarks, like Chevy Chase pulling off that grin, And and then there's the scenes with Clark and his boss, and everybody at some time has had like a boss that they've like been trying to suck up to get a promotion or a bonus or whatever. And there's that scene where he walks in and he gives them the present, and all the presents are the same shape. And then the boss is trying to look busy, so he's like. He gets on his phone and he calls the front desk or a secretary or whatever, and he's like, hey, get me somebody, anybody. Get me somebody while I'm waiting.
Yeah, because the whole point about him sucking up to the boss is because he wants to get a bigger Christmas bonus or whatever, so he can get a swimming pool. I don't think he deserves the goddamn swimming pool. And it's always weird because it's like you're relying on this bonus, you're not sure if you're gonna get it or like you will, and like he already put money down on it, so I never really got what happened. So let's say he didn't get the bonus. Does a check just bounce, or does he lose $8,000? Like, they never explain the repercussions.
But Justin, he made the finest non-nutritive cereal varnish the world has ever seen.
His job is weird, too.
He's a genius. He's a scientist. What's weird is he's like this like material scientist, but he's like...
Yeah, he's making the silicone for the bottom of the sled and stuff.
Right, and they don't really get into that. Like, it's weird, like, the role he plays in that respect.
But I don't know. It's weird because he's like, oh, I really want to pool and have the family together, but he only wants to pool so he can bang the girl from the store, kind of, in his head.
Well, his fantasies all kind of roll into one.
It's weird. His needs and wants, but I guess so are the needs and wants of the American male.
But isn't that kind of how it like really works? Like oh, I want to have a good Christmas, but there's also this going on. Like all these ideas conflict to form the holiday.
He kind of is doing it for his family, but he's also doing it for himself. It's kind of like more his own idea. Yeah. It's like he just fantasizes about the swimming pool. And, I can understand, but the part I tend to relate to now as I get older is that I just hate the cold. And I'm always looking for
I was just about to say that. You're looking for any excuse to go to a convention or something outside of fucking Philadelphia.
So the scene when he's looking out the window and there's the pool, there's the naked girl, all that happens, but there's that Hawaiian Christmas song or the Hawaiian style Christmas song.
Yeah, it's Elvis.
Mele Kalikimaka. And when that music comes on and you're just thinking about like being somewhere else during Christmas or getting away from the cold, it just has this warm vibe, and it like the song just has this very like floaty fantasy kind of thing. And I do sometimes find myself in the coldest days just thinking about, man, I just want to go to fucking Hawaii or something,
Yeah.
So that part as an adult I think becomes more of a, 'cause as a kid you're like, oh yeah, I want snow, I want to go sledding, I want to.
Yeah, especially because these movies take place in Chicago mostly, unless it's like across country Europe. But like Christmas Vacation in Chicago, and the whole movie it's snowing the entire time basically.
Not to get off topic, but let's give a quick mention to John Hughes, the director. He directed and/or produced almost every major comedy of the 80s. Ferris Bueller, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, the list goes on. In fact, the original director for Christmas Vacation was Chris Columbus, but only a year later, John Hughes produced another Christmas film, which Chris Columbus directed, and you know what that was?
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Oh, speaking of fucking Christmas lights, thanks for decorating the set, Tony.
Great job.
You just fucking dumped this here.
Thanks, Justin.
Clark Griswold's decorations are just, he covers the entire house.
That's my main problem with this movie, is every time you're forced to watch it, or you have to watch it every year because it's Christmas or whatever, it's just so frustrating.
Forced to watch it.
It's so frustrating because you have to watch him get out all the lights, untangle the big ball, put him on the roof. It doesn't work. Oh, there's a switch in the garage. And it's just so...
And that's real life. So that is the scene that I think I relate to more than any other scene. That is... Like, I have become Clark Griswold. And once I realized that and saw the movie, I just laughed and laughed. So I think that's why this movie is so much better as an adult. I mean, everybody can relate to connecting some Christmas lights or something, or having some kind of technical problem, and it starts off all fun, but then you have that one little problem, the lights won't come on for some reason, you can't figure it out, and you're troubleshooting everything, and you start getting pissed off. It's like, that's happened to me so many times. Now, I've never set up my house the way Clark Griswold does. I've never gone that far. It's an exaggeration, but the idea of the overambitious father is very true. It's kind of like he's doing it for different reasons. I mean, he's kind of doing it to impress his family, but he's not looking for a compliment, really. He just wants it to be seen. He more wants his kids to relive the same magical Christmas that he had as a kid, or at least how he thinks it was, as his memory recalls. Because he'll think back and be like, oh, well, Christmas, is the tradition. You set up your lights and it's all big. So he's kind of remembering like an enhanced version of his childhood that he is trying to pass on to his kids.
And I don't think he realizes what he's doing until two things happen. The first thing is he sees the videos when he gets left behind when they're going shopping. He sees the home videos.
The films in the attic,
the films. And then when everything goes to shit, and it's the low point in the movie, he's in the garage and his dad comes in. And, he says, I just want them to have the best Christmas ever and all of that. And the dad goes to him and says,
All our holidays were always such a mess.
Oh, yeah.
How did you get through it?
I had a lot of help from Jack Daniels.
And that whole scene right there is just like, listen, we're all human. It's never going to be as big as it is in your head.
Yeah.
You just got to get through.
It's like a chaser. You're trying to chase these memories, but it's not going to be the same. And as a kid, there's no way I'd relate to nostalgia like that. I wasn't old enough. But that scene when he's in the attic and he's looking at the old films, and he starts to realize how simple it really was, and that he's really trying too hard. He starts to remember what's important and the people who are close to him. And like you're saying, that was a good point with the Jack Daniels. It's like you don't know what your parents and your grandparents were on. They were either drinking or smoking something. Like everybody had some vice. It didn't mean they were having a problem. It just meant that everybody had a vice. Because there's an old film. I brought up an old 8mm film of me and my grandpa one time, and he's pulling me on a wagon. And while he's doing that, I can't quite do it with the shelf in front of me, but you get the idea. He's pulling me, but he has like a cigarette behind him that he's holding away from me so that none of the smoke will get on me. But you can tell it's there. It's kind of like way behind his back. Like here's the family side, but here behind him is the vice, where the stuff that helps him get through all the craziness.
The difference is that Clark's vice is Christmas,
Yeah.
and being competitive. Like, you know, he's competing with his own idea of what a perfect Christmas is, or kind of like when he's like on the road and he's flipping off the guys in the beginning, or fantasizing, or like what the perfect life would be, like having a swimming pool. That's the perfect life. And the guy Bill at his office, like, you're the perfect family man, one of the last ones left, you know, and he wants that.
I'm gonna have the best tree, the best lights, the best dinner, best everything, and then he just gets broken down by all that.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of it, when he's like laughing with a chainsaw, it's like just to see him go from that all the way to like this almost like psychopath is.
Well, it's funny because, you know, like we all grew up with this, and you guys both have kids now. Me, I guess I'm like Todd and Margot next door. That's who I relate with. I'm just fed up of all these motherfuckers shit, you know. And their house is awesome. They look like they're from the Matrix. You have
their spacesuits running.
You have Elaine Dennis there.
Oh yeah, Elaine is in Christmas Vacation. And John Randolph, the guy who plays Clark's dad, was the original Frank Costanza. If you want to know more, there's probably a video on YouTube somewhere about it.
I think it's funny, Todd goes home and he's like, oh, you're cutting down the tree. It's like, yeah, I'll show you where I'm going to shove it. Right, but as a kid, you don't pick up on that. That's like really, like, you wouldn't say that to anybody.
Yeah, you know? I remember my dad laughing at that, like, oh, man, like shocked laughter. Like, like, wow, I can't believe he said that. I'm like, well, what do you mean, Dad? He's like I can't explain it or whatever.
It sucks you don't really get any resolution with Todd and Margot. The last thing that happens is Todd gets kicked out of the house, I guess, because he's being a jerk. And Margot, like the SWAT team crashes in on them, and then that's it. I'd like to see like a post-credit scene with them or something, but maybe an animated adventure. That's I wonder if they're in Christmas Vacation too. I'll have to watch that.
Okay. Yeah, so anyway, that's all I got for this one. I love this movie. I love it as a tradition every year. It just keeps getting better.
I'm going to keep watching it every year. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, despite all the problems. It's great.
I just watched it. I'll have to watch it a few more times this year, and that's what it is.